As a first speaker of the last session, I hope my talk will complement very much with previous speakers, as the title might not directly address ASEAN-China Energy Resource Cooperation, but it has some implication if you look at what's happening on the side of the regional outlook perspective on the potential of ASEAN power grid or ASEAN power market integration. So that's the first point I would like to make, and I think this is there are also some good news on the topic because you know that the ASEAN power grid interconnection has been talked for some time, and we make a MOU of having such a power grid integration, you know, not only among two countries, but go beyond the two countries. Since 2007, we've been able to get agreement. So that's something that I think that's the core subject I'd like to bring to the attention, how that will be the next stage of ASEAN energy market integration beyond bilateral agreement per se. And of course, the progress will be important in this regard because this is the real starting point, I could say, from last year when we get the new agreement. I mean, go beyond the MOU of 2007. So in that context, I think that I would like to go quickly to the presentation. Let me start by saying that on the ASEAN energy resources, like most countries, and we learned from this morning, fossil is the main energy sources. Except some country, we have the Myanmar case, which is a hydro one. But renewable, in fact, is also boosting for biomass, geothermal, hydro power resources with huge potential, also wind, solar, and tidal energy. By country, of course, Indonesia has the richest type and quality of energy sources. Meanwhile, Thailand, Philippines, and Cambodia have relatively less energy resources, and Brunei, Singapore, on the other hand, in shortage of renewable energy resources. Singapore is in case try to have their own independent powers and mainly from, you know, not renewable resources. Also, this is very quickly reflecting in this figure about the high and low fossil energy resources in our region, as well as for renewable energy. Next, I would like to talk about the ASEAN energy market profile. We're looking at our latest master plan, Plan for Action Energy Cooperation. We give very much attention to security, accessibility, and to a certain extent, affordability of energy supply over environmental sustainability. And at present, also efforts to use energy resources effectively are hampered by uneven distribution of energy sources, different level of trade investment, and economic development among ASEAN members. So there are several issues that we don't have time to go talk about it. On the side of the energy consumption, we know this is some of the latest figures, 2016. ASEAN energy consumption was huge. As we know, petroleum is primary, 41%, and you have other sources of energy. 2012 to 16, there's something that we could say that electricity power consumption is the biggest upsurge during that period. Then among ASEAN countries, Indonesia and Thailand number one and number two biggest economy are the biggest consumer. And of course, Vietnam came very much into the picture because of the high growth of Vietnam, and as well as the Philippines also. They were the fastest growth by 4.3% per annum. So that's kind of thing that keep to remind about the energy consumption on this graph, and I will show next about the power sources. Here you might like to ask about what's about the total power capacity. This is a unit, that 217 gigawatt, and about 1/4 for renewable energy, and a lot of installed power capacity. Particularly, of course, more important is also about not only coal but gas-fired and some renewable energy that you can see from the power sources on this slide. I would like to move now to the second part of my presentation, way toward an ASEAN power market integration. This is the last year meeting, and you could see 35 ASEAN meeting for energy minister. There's a lot of things to talk about the ASEAN energy outlook, and they've been able to come up with an interesting report. That you look at that website. Essentially, they try to address ASEAN power system operation, which is now function to start with. They will be looking, of course, the way most ASEAN power system operated. Only one single power market structure. In Thailand would be what you call Electricity Authority of Thailand. Philippines would be probably the same kind of. That's only different but from other countries. Only the Singapore and Philippines. There's quite a competitive wholesale electricity market. Otherwise, within such a system, and ASEAN, we're talking about the potential to improve the power regulatory framework. First, of course, we're talking about gain that could be achieved if only appropriate regulatory environment is in place. And second, we're talking about efficiency that can also be obtained by having transparent regulatory framework, for example, for fair grid access, substantial number of market players. And third, about electricity pricing for final consumer generally consists of several components that we have time to address. About you cannot forget about the establishment of ASEAN power market integration. This is some of the latest idea I could mention at this point in time. ASEAN has good potential to harness, we know in general about the renewable energy, and also most ASEAN countries have set individual target and support scheme at the regional market. We make some power market integration as a way to go in order to offer better access to multi-technology and geographically renewable energy. So in short term, this led to much greater exploitation of ASEAN hydroelectric resources. So this is something like we would like to address the SDG and achieve as a medium and long term. So this is something that you could see that how ASEAN Interconnection project could come into the picture like that. For example, Laos is rich in renewable energy from hydro that could distribute to other countries which is more non-renewable, like Thailand, for gas if we use more, or other countries. So this is, or even Singapore that we'll touch later on. This is the status of ASEAN Power Grid project. You can see the existing, you can see the future. That's going to be put in place. It's quite impressive, 4 times at least, from 5,002 to 23,000. And there definitely advantage of ASEAN Power integration. I could list some, but I think that in the case of ASEAN, I think there's essentially, I'd like to go to last line, coordination has become more preferable option for power market integration. My country example, as we have a wake-up call by now and start to play more active role for ASEAN Power Grid. As you can see, this is how Thailand seeing connection through Laos and possibly now go down to Malaysia if we put rightly this kind of grid and to cover more rising demand as well for or to go down to the south. However, I think there's one thing for sure that, as I already mentioned earlier, regulatory framework, we play a critical role in such a regional market with responsibility growing different stakeholders. Very critical to define the designated operation and maintenance responsibility of each regulator, while matters pertaining to cross-border energy transfer must be managed in line with practice in the local electricity market. So this is something I'm sure that Cambodia or Vietnam, they have their own kind of framework, which is different from Myanmar and our friend addressed earlier. Last part about the latest progress of ASEAN power market integration. First slide is show, as you know already, the fact that there's definitely an increase of energy demand supply beyond national capability to handle alone. This is something that we need to, again, saying that for this, we need to get together and also go beyond bilateral power cooperation. And that's why interconnection also have to move beyond that kind of framework. For this, ASEAN Energy Authority also have come to talk more about how we should like to do something more together. And this is something that's potential implication and benefit we think of enhance our ASEAN power grid interconnection. This is at least a mainland and some from the maritime ASEAN. You know, you look at the case of how Sumatra or even the Borneo could connect it in that regard. I would like to skip this and we have no time. Just to really quick that as you know that's definitely we need to balancing out the relative position of different ASEAN countries. We already talked in detail the situation in each country from Myanmar to other countries, but I will not have time to go into that again. Just to go to the very before the very last slide about the ASEAN energy blueprint, and this is a key one. I extract the slide from the APEC 2016 and 2025. You look at the vision and mission statement, enhancing energy connectivity and market integration in ASEAN to achieve energy security, accessibility, and affordability, and sustainability for all. There's such a lot of key areas, and ASEAN Power Grid is one of the major ones that's going to make it, in addition to gas pipeline, coal and clean energy, down to nuclear energy. that they would like to enhance. And you look at also the importance of renewable energy from here and then 2025 that will go to help reduce in conjunction with the SDG. This is the 34th meeting talking about it, about the first phase. They already tried to approach the year earlier about the LTMS. That means the first power integration project from Laos to Thailand to Malaysia and to Singapore. So Singapore can get the the hydropower renewable one rather than, for example, from gas or from oil. That's they're using, because Singapore also the concern about security. But now if we make the market correctly, Singapore can also get the clean renewable energy as well as Malaysia. But in order to do that, of course, definitely the ASEAN energy minister, they put the first, they call multilateral power trade, which has become multilateral electricity trading. Actually, that now is a term, and that will support very much from each country national development plan in the future. And this is last year again from 34th meeting. We have to follow these two meetings for those who are interested about how the policy makers are working on such an issue. Last year they already, I just go through.
Sir, may I kindly request to conclude your presentation?
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay. So they definitely they already signed in the first purchase, just small, but it's the first approach of 100 megawatt, from Thailand to Malaysia, and then also Singapore will come to picture another 100. So that's something they would like to work into it. In addition to other efforts, of the APG renewable efforts. I will go to last two slides of conclusion. As we know, that's the first point, the energy demand will continue to increase. That's considering that ASEAN growth and development is definitely there. And RE, renewable energy sources, are also moving in line with what they would like to do. And the next effort, as we said, that's about how to integrate the energy market beyond the bilateral framework. And here, I already been talking on this point from the APEC master plan to the 35th ASEAN Minister Energy meeting. And we think about the fully consolidated regional market. It may not be viable very soon, but at least we have room to work together, and we start from something like a small target, grid codes, and kind of responsibility, common responsibility. And we hope that some kind of independent, we need to set up a regional regulator should be established. So this is the stage about the decide the next stage, how we would like to move into the so-called make this regional power or electricity at least integration work, in addition to the small, the so-called the former framework that we have bilateral, which based on security and all that. That's going to also, I don't have time to talking about it. The market integration also help in terms of the price, the clearing, about the clearing, about the price would be better, about the distribution, all this, which is more, we need more the time to address why such a framework is also worldwide, in addition to the former framework of the former model we used to work. So I think that's where to end with that note. Thank you for your attention.